Hello, welcome to the inaugural episode of Megos at the Movies. I am your host, Brandon Ledesma, known as Megos. We're going to be reviewing the movie Tarzan 2016. Oh, no, it's called The Legend of Tarzan, apparently. I don't know, I just fucking call it Tarzan. This movie I saw with my friends because we voted on either Finding Dory or Tarzan. So I thought, the reviews are just reviews. It's probably not so bad. And then I ended up being completely wrong. This movie was a thrill in the worst possible way because it was just so honest to God awful. It was one of those movies where you're just watching the whole time and thinking, wow, this is the most Hollywood film you could ever imagine. Like, those movies that they show within movies that are just, sort of a parody or satire of basic Hollywood movies? No, this movie was that, basically. It was incredible how not just how mediocre it was. And it's not one of those movies where you can see it and go, that was bad, and then move on. It's more of those movies where you just think, how could this be so bad? I mean, the director, David Yates, he directed the last four Harry Potter films, which were Order of the Phoenix, Deathly Hallows, Half-Blood Prince, and I already said Deathly Hallows, but the Deathly Hallows twin movies. And you have Margot Robbie, you have Samuel L. Jackson, you have Christoph Waltz. I haven't heard about this Alexander Skarsgård guy. This is the first film I ever seen him in it, and he's probably like a relatively new, or he could be just a guy who just does like movies that don't get a lot of like notice. He seems to be a True Blood. Oh, he seems to be been on True Blood and all that. So yeah, but anyway, you have just this, a good cast, a solid cast of solid actors. Margot Robbie has shown that she is good in movies like The Wolf of Wall Street. Samuel Jackson is Samuel Jackson, and Christoph Waltz is one of my favorite actors currently because I think his performance in *Inglourious Basterds* was just phenomenal work, and he was phenomenal in *Django Unchained*. So you just think to yourself, how did this movie fall so flat, And it just does. And so let's get into this. The movie opens up with a establishing shot of, just the Congo. It gives you a bit of a rundown of what's going on in the Congo. Belgium is, doing some shady shit. They want to, find whatever they can find to get them some money, to get them the most dough, and they're also doing shit like poaching wild animals, getting elephant horns or elephant tusks, and they're also they might be dabbling in slavery. like, so you see this like company, or I guess this band of troops. I don't know my lingo of army shit, but you see this big group of soldiers, and they're accompanied by Captain Leon Rom, who is actually a real life person. This is an actual person. But it's historical fiction in a way, because I'm on his Wikipedia page. He dies in 1924, and the movie, I believe, takes place in 1890 or the very late 1800s. So he spoilers. This is going to be a spoilers because whatever. It's a shitty movie, and I'm going to talk in depth about this movie, or as depth as much as I can. And he dies at the very end, and like he dies a good 30 years when he's supposed to. uh, so you see him, and you see him walking with the troop all eccentrically. His character throughout this whole movie is eccentric. He is a very eccentric man. Oh, he's so interesting. He wears, a suit, and he has a Panama Jack hat, and he's just, oh, he's so suave. Oh man, and he speaks in a accent that is not Belgium. He doesn't have a Belgium accent. He has more of a. Is it what is Belgium? Belgish? Anyway, he's from Belgium. So instead of speaking in this weird French accent, he speaks like almost this British accent or something like that. Accents are fucked up in this movie, and we're gonna get to that later. Uh, they are going in through this like scary place. There's large rock formations, and they're all have scary faces on them. It's real spooky. There's fog, and all of a sudden a spear hits the guy, and he dies. Oh no, what's going on? What the fuck, man? And they start shooting. They start lighting it up like they're shooting guns. And one thing I found very interesting, it shows that, and Christoph Waltz, I think, did this by himself. This wasn't probably the director, but he covers his ears. He's going, "Oh shit, they're shooting guns," because he's just a guy. He's not like an army man. He's just an agent of the. He's like one of the. He's one of the king's main man. He's not like an army dude. And I think that's a really interesting aspect of the character, that he just, he's not used to gunfire. He's not used to like physical altercations or anything like that. And they meet with, or no, they don't meet. They are fucking ambushed and like massacred by this African tribe of dudes who are like, I don't know if they have like powder or they're painted gray, and it's and they're super gray, and they're all creepy looking. And then you see the main guy, the leader. I believe his name is Chief Mabonga, Mabonga, who's played by, I'm probably gonna butcher this, but Jimon Honsu. Who, if you don't know, I believe he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He played um, he was in the very beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's the guy in the trailer that goes, "Who?" when um, Star Lord goes, "I'm Star Lord. Don't you know? I'm Star Lord." And he goes, "Who?" And so like immediately when I saw him in the theaters, I leaned over to my friend and said, "Who?" And throughout this whole movie, he has this like leopard pelt on the top of his head, and it's like the face of a leopard. So you just see the leopard's eyes on top of his head, and it looks so fucking fake. Like it looks like such a it's like glassy eyes and all that. It looks like it's been glassed. I'm like, oh, where did you get that? The costume store? Anyway, and basically the chief spares Rom, who Rom holds himself up in the fight. Like he's been approached, and he uses Braum for some reason is like this fighting game character where his weapon is this rosary that he has. He uses it like an extra hand, or like a weird whip or a thing of vines where he just grabs people, and he puts them in a hold. He's like, "I got you." He's like, "Yeah, I got you." And and that's like his go-to weapon throughout this whole movie. Like nothing can beat that thing. He uses it as a weapon. He uses it to subdue Tarzan multiple times. He uses it to defend himself against Margot Robbie's character. And it's just such a. I guess they're like, oh shit, we got to make this guy threatening somehow. Let's not utilize Christoph Waltz's intensity. Let's just give him a fucking rosary that looks like it was made by his 5-year-old daughter in arts and craft. So the chief says, "All right, man, we're going to spare you, but you need to bring us Tarzan, who's in England, and we need you to bring him to me so I can fucking kill him, all right? And we'll give you the diamonds." And he hands him these fucking like foggy looking diamonds, like they're extremely foggy looking, and I guess that's like the means. I'm like, and I'm thinking in the theaters, just say no, fuck you. Come back with an even bigger army and just light those dudes up. It's not like it's such a weird like ultimatum that is set up. Like, yeah, the African tribes was able to successfully defend themselves and defeat this large group of men, but like if you come with more guys, maybe even some vehicles. I don't know. It's 1890s, so I don't think there are any vehicles. But like, if you come with like, I don't know, not just a bunch of dudes with rifles, but like more guys, machine guns, shit like that, like actual horses and shit. If you actually show up with an actual army, then you could just take the diamonds and just murder them. But whatever. Rom has this honor system, I guess, even though he's totally up for slavery, poaching, and just doing shady shit. So we cut to England. I guess I guess the plan is that the Belgian people invite Tarzan so they can so they can trap Tarzan and take him to the evil chief. And all these people are all talking to Alexander Skarsgård, character who plays Tarzan, but they call him John throughout the entire movie, and it's so distracting. I'm like, his name's Tarzan, just call him Tarzan. But I guess Tarzan isn't Tarzan anymore. He's John Clayton, which I guess back in the day that wasn't a generic name, but now that's like, Jesus Christ, you guys. Just call him Tarzan, which some people call him Tarzan, some people just say John. John. I'm like, who are you talking? And it's like I forget that his name is John half the time. So basically, the English people and Samuel L. Jackson are like, "Hey man, come on, let's go to the fucking Congo. Let's go to Congo. You're gonna be welcome there. Everyone loves you. You got a big dick. You got a 6-pack abs. Come on, man. You're such the coolest guy ever. Come on, let's go to the Congo." And oh yeah, Samuel Jackson is introduced as George Washington Williams, who's also a real person, who, going by his Wikipedia page, was, I think it was a military man turned into just this all-around guy who just did things. He was a guy who's very active and doing stuff, and that's very cool because he was a black man in the 1800s, which I can imagine was not an easy thing to do because of violent racism. But yeah, he's a fucking hero and all that shit. He was a soldier, minister, historian, lawyer, and journalist. And in the movie, Samuel Jackson just kills it. This is one of my favorite performances of Samuel Jackson. I'm being dead serious. I think Samuel Jackson gave so much of a shit and put so much, care, and just like he just wasn't sitting there on screen. You can just tell that they filmed all his scenes in a day and he left. Like, no, he was invested into this. So maybe this was something that he wanted to do. And he was like, "Oh, I want to go on an adventure movie. I want to make this fun." Which, anytime he's on screen, most of the time, it's very fun. He's very good. But like, I think he has so much he's just oozing personality, which Tarzan isn't. Tarzan is this like non-talkative weirdo who's like he doesn't talk a lot and he's very silent. He's almost brooding in a way. It's so weird. It's like they didn't bother really giving him all much of a character, which he's the title character. Fucking give him a character, you assholes. So Tarzan says, "No, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go to the Congo. I don't want to go. I'm here now. I'm here in my big ass house, in my big ass land, I, with my hot ass wife, and you just and I'm sitting there like, yeah. Why would you want to go to? Why would you want to go to a place that you know that you want to get away from? I would totally stay in my big ass house with my hot ass wife, um, but Margot Robbie's character Jane is basically the reason why he goes. Before that, though, there's a flashback. Um, this is where the movie starts getting dumb because I feel like the opening scene was pretty strong. I felt like it was, it sets the tone really well. It gives you like the sense of adventure and all that. But this is when the movie starts getting dumb. Uh, Basically, it shows a treehouse where Tarzan was born in because I get his parents were there, and his mom dies when she gave birth, and then his dad buries her. And this is when it gets fucking dumb as shit. These gorillas just show up to Tarzan's place, to his dad, John the Second, good old Johnny Clayton, good old Johnny Clay, and the gorillas are just like the way the gorillas show up. It's not like they accidentally stumble upon them. It feels like these gorillas were on a mission, which gorillas are intelligent, but they're not. They're not gonna, like gonna huddle up and like, okay, we gotta get rid of these white people who are in our. Like I like to think of it this way: the gorillas are so used to like all the African people that are around them, so they're like, oh, whatever, humans. And then all of a sudden, you get these like pale-looking motherfuckers coming up out of nowhere, and the girl's like, hold up, this is a fucking problem. We need to get we need to get rid of these guys. So, the gorillas have they have a fucking goal. They have a mission. They are going to kill the shit out of Tarzan's papa, and they do. They these CGI gorillas just beat the shit out of out of him. By the way, most of the gorillas in this movie look like they're just the same model that is just copy and pasted, and it looks so bad and lazy. It's like it's almost to the point where when you play a video game and you see the same background NPCs and they're doing the same animation, it looks kind of jarring. It's kind of like this, but at least they're like all doing different animations. But like, you guys couldn't get like just decent looking costumes or just guys in gorilla suits or anything like that. Like had this exoskeleton, like had this like you know suit that like gives the person inside the suit like give them these long metal arms, and then you put the suit over it and it looks like a legitimate gorilla. But no, they just went for the easy route and they went with CGI, which I guess if you're gonna, but it's just dumb. I mean, I'm not one of those anti CGI people. I don't mind CGI. Hell, The Revenant has a CGI bear in it, but that's because they couldn't get a real bear to actually attack Leo, and they couldn't like make it look good having a guy in a bear suit attack Leo. So they went with the CGI route, but they did it so well. This movie doesn't. This movie fails. So in the treehouse, Tarzan's gorilla mom goes and picks him up, and holy shit! According to the synopsis, people actually like. I guess they were, I guess they were actually, more. What's the fucking word when they CGI over it? I guess there was actually people acting into them, but why? Why bother? It's just gorillas. Just I don't know. So apparently there were people who actually played these guys. Matt Cross. Who's Matt Cross? Because Matt Cross plays Tarzan's gorilla brother. I don't know. This whole movie's weird because all the CGI gorillas, and you know that they're not real. They look so fake, and they're just so bad looking. I'm sorry. I just gotta emphasize that. So Tarzan's mom, takes baby Tarzan and there she's walking out of the treehouse with, and she's visibly holding. She's not like hiding it. She's like, "Yeah, I'm taking this baby." But like, if this were real gorillas, the gorillas would just smack the baby out of the mom's hand. Would just smack the human baby out of the mom's hand, just kill it. But instead, like, the gorillas are like, "Oh, I don't approve. I don't approve of you taking this human baby." But whatever. Back to the present day, or I guess their present because it's not our present day. John uh, goes back. I'm not calling him John. His name is Tarzan. Tarzan goes back to his home, his big ass home that has marble floors and columns and fucking like Renaissance style statues made by Michelangelo himself, chiseled. These excellent marble statues, and just like this beautiful home. And he finds Jane, who's teaching all these shitty child actors, just the worst children actors, just the kids of the fucking, just all the kids of the workers, basically, of the whole crew. Not the cast, but the crew. All the crew's kids are there in costume going, "Oh, it's Tarzan! Oh, it's Tarzan! Oh, look at his hand! See how his hand bends? It's because of being a child. He was able to, make a." It's like the children like explain to the audience why Tarzan's hands are so fucking massive. It's like we the audience can figure that out. We know he was raised as a gorilla. We know that he had to walk on his hands as a child, or not walk with his hands as a child, because he was fucking around gorillas. He was monkey see, monkey do. It's like this movie does so. There's so many instances in this movie where they had to explain to the audience what's going on. It's like we could figure it out. We're not fucking stupid. That's another thing that's like, I I know it's the argument of under-explaining and over-explaining, but it's like there are just some things where the audience can figure out, and then there's some things that you need to kind of explain to the audience. Whatever. Let's keep going. Uh, Jane, played by Margot Robbie, is American for some reason. Because fuck you. It's like you just hear her talk and you're just expecting her to have this English accent, but she doesn't. She has an American accent. And Tarzan, who for some reason has an English accent. I'm gonna get into that later, but he hasn't. He has an English accent, and Jane's like, "I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Africa. I want to go to Africa," and just. Am I right, fellas? Your wife nags you to go somewhere. No, but the whole time she's like, "I want to go to Africa. I want to go back there. When are we going?" And Tarzan goes, "Fine." And it's like Jane just wants to go to Africa so fucking bad. So Samuel Jackson goes with them to the Congo, and they're there, they're having a good old time. And Tarzan goes up to these CGI lions, and he puts his head up to them, and if this was real, the lion would just swat him and kill him instantly. But no, because for some reason Tarzan is this animal whisperer. He's like he's like a reverse Aquaman where he can talk to mammals and reptiles. Uh, they go and meet up with the tribe that Jane was with at when she was growing up, and she helped taught English because she's the daughter of an English teacher who helped teach English to African people, which it's pretty cool. They hang out, they're singing songs, they sing songs in African, and Samuel Jackson's like, "What are they singing about?" And Jane, in a very clear voice, says, "They're singing African. They're singing the song about Tarzan. Don't you know?" And this fucking movie just has to explain everything to you because you're too dumb. Uh, and I think there's another. There's another flashback as Tarzan as a baby boy, as a little boy, being bullied by the leader of the bunch. You know him well, Kerchak Kong. Kerchak Kong does not like Tarzan because he's a fucking racist. No, but no, he sees Tarzan. He's like, I don't like this fucking kid, this shit little shit kid. I don't want him around. I'm just gonna bully the shit out of him. And Tarzan, Tarzan adapts. Kala comes to his rescue. Kala is his mom, by the way. I don't care. I guess that's his name. I guess that's her name. But she goes up to Tarzan, and hands him an egg, and he eats the egg. Oh yeah, here's the thing throughout this movie. I forgot to mention early in this movie, like Tarzan eats eggs. Like he just like pokes a little hole in eggs and just slurps the innards. And that's supposed to be a character trait, I guess. It's like, oh, he likes eggs. And, like riveting stuff, guys. Uh, I think next we cut to Rom, who and his men. They're like all talking, and Rom snatches this like, uh, he snatches this records of who's in the Congo right now, who arrived, and he sees that John Clayton's there, and he takes it. And some guy says, "Hey, you can't take that," and like Rom like nods and says, "I am though," and he walks away, and I laughed because I thought that was really funny. And I'm pretty sure uh, he talks to this guy, this old man, who was walking around with his little slave boy, I or his little servant boy. Either way, he's like a little boy, a little African boy as a slave who carries an umbrella, and they discuss things. And they're like, you're behind time, you're behind schedule. You need to get those diamonds right fucking now, dude." And Rom's like, "Don't worry, I am going to get it. It's all going to be fine. I'm going to get the diamonds, and you don't have to worry about nothing." And and then and, and so you just see that Rom's on borrowed time. So I guess that kind of explains why he just doesn't take a large group of soldiers. But then that would have been just a day. He spends like 3 days doing this. This whole thing like is like I think 2 days long or 3 days long of him of him with like just roll up on those dudes, on those gray dudes, and just take the fucking diamonds. There's nothing stopping you. Your government owns the land. You're not gonna see consequences to it. No one cares enough. You were living in 1800s the world. There aren't. You're not gonna get like human atrocity laws against you or whatever. Who cares? So then, Rom goes and takes basically a bunch of mercs because I guess they said, "Oh wow, you lost an army, you fucking idiot. You need to get mercs this time around. At least no one will miss them." And they go to the village, and Tarzan notices, and I think he tries to take them all out. Or no, they just start like shooting up the place, and they start like actually trying to kidnap people for slavery, because slavery is the thing that's in the background, because the Congo is still practicing slavery. And at this point in the time, it's after the U.S. abolished slavery, so like I guess there's just some places that are still doing it because they were able to, because no one knew about it. Like, hey, when people don't know, well, hurt them. Uh, they oh yeah, there's also a boat that they roll up on, so like there's a river nearby, and they take tribe people, they take the warriors basically. They take mostly like the warrior guys. Oh my god, I forgot to mention, but like when they go to meet the African, like the friendly African tribe, there's a lot of characters that they expect you to know, but you don't know. My man's non Jacker Zarazi, uh, my man's brought up to me that this feels like a sequel to a movie that does not exist. That is not an actual that there's a movie that isn't existent. It's a sequel to a book, but it's like such a loose sequel and it's such a loose adaptation. It's like why even bother? You know? So he brought that up to me and I didn't think about that. Like Jesus Christ. Uh so like there's a lot of characters that they expect you to know or how they like focus on the characters. It's like, "Don't you know who this is?" I'm like, "No. This is my first time meeting them. Hi, how do you do?" This is like going to a family reunion and people who recognize you, but you do not recognize them because they met you when you were 2 years old at the last family reunion. You know, so um, Tarzan gets incapacitated. He's being choked out by well, basically, I think Rom uses his like rosary again to subdue him, and they tie him up, and then I think Samuel Jackson's character comes in with some guys who are friendlies, and he helps save them, and he goes and tries to help find Tarzan. He's like, "I saved you, Tarzan. Would you like to join the Avengers?" No. uh, So then there's some people who are still there. Oh, by the way, the tribe's leader who you just met was killed. So you're like, oh, that sucks. I would care if I knew this character better, but oh, that sucks. Uh, George is like, wait, hey, Tarzan, I do not know about doing this, man. And John says, fuck it, I'm going. Keep up, old man, which Samuel Jackson's an old man, and he plays an old man. But like, no, he's moving, he's walking. Samuel Jackson is very active throughout this whole movie. Uh, they and he takes off his shirt. Oh boy, my God, Alexander Skarsgård is fucking cut, dude. He's got the V, he's got the abs, and he's got the pecs. This dude is the total package. I was getting a little hot and bothered while watching this. Uh, well, I'm serious. Like the moment he took off his shirt, I heard a woman in the crowd going, "Ooh," which I was like, "Yeah, I agree. This guy is beautiful. He is chiseled from stone." It's too bad about his gorilla face, which I bet you that's why they casted him because he looks the most like a gorilla. That's mean. There's another flashback. Oh my God, this flashback is just. This is like one of the most painful scenes because Tarzan is full on Tarzan. He's a dirty, dirty man who's got matted hair, and he meets Jane for the first time. And Jane tries to talk to her, and he's like, "Oh, me." He's like, "Buh, buh, buh." He doesn't understand because he's a stupid monkey man. And like he starts smelling her. He smells the top of her head, and he smells her hair, and he smells her arms. He smells her belly button, and this is like the most painful because he goes more south. He goes up into Margot Robbie's pussy and takes a big old whiff. He just sniffs her puss. And it is the most uncomfortable fucking thing. Oh my God. I was like, it was so cringy. He's like, and like, Jane is like, whoa, big fella. Don't be sniffing my pussy, big fella. You keep that nose out of there, big fella. Don't be doing that, big fella. And I'm like, oh, that is like, because in my mind, I'm thinking about the screenwriter who who was typing on his keyboard, and then Margot Robbie And then no, and then no, backspace, 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 and then Tarzan starts sniffing her, and then he goes a little too low and smells her vagina. And then the director, who sees the script, and he's like, "Okay, Alex, you're gonna be smelling her, and fucking hell, and you are going to put your face there, and you're gonna sniff. Ready, Margot?" And Margot Robbie's like, "Fuck this." The paycheck wasn't so fat, I wouldn't be doing this stupid shit. You know? But it was like the most. I felt like gross. I was looking around the theater like, oh, did anyone else see that? But, there's people laughing, of course. And I was just sitting there going, oh, I don't feel great. So, I go back to present day. Uh, I believe this is the point where Tarzan is just running through the jungle. He's just running and running. George, oh, he's so old. He's like taking breaks. He's like going, ugh. And people are telling him, don't take breaks, man. Don't do it. Don't take breaks. Don't be slowing down, because if you do, they're gonna fucking those things in the jungle are gonna fucking kill you, my guy. And so he sits down and just takes a deep breath. It's like, oh man, I'm getting too old. It's like it almost feels like he's gonna look at the camera and say, I'm getting too old for this shit. I think this is the point where Rom has like the one warrior tribesman who Margot Robbie is like knows the best and is closest to, like she has a bond with, and he has him in a cage that is dangling over, and they're like, we're gonna drop him, we're gonna fucking drop him into the water if you even act the fool, and Rom's like, okay, Missy, alright, and I think this is the point where she spits on him or something like that. I don't know, I'm getting all these scenes mixed up because they're all the same scene. It's the same scene every time. Rom is like, oh, my dearie, you're going to, oh, I'm gonna tell, oh, I'm gonna get ya. And then, uh and then later, fuck this movie. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep going. And then Margot Robbie says funny quip, a funny little quip, a little bit of staircase wit. Who owns him? Either emasculating him or making fun of his appearance. Either or. Like she says, "Oh, your mustache is crooked." And then later, there's a dinner scene, and then Margot Robbie notices his rosary, and he's like, "Oh, where'd you get that rosary, huh? Big man." And like he goes, "Oh, you see, when I was a little boy, I used to visit my priest because I was raised Catholic, so I would go and visit my priest, and he was such a very nice man, and he gave me this rosary. It's made from spider silk, actual spider silk." And it's very cool, isn't it? And she goes, "Oh, I guess you were a little close with your priest." It's like, oh, a priest molestation joke. How appropriate for this fucking movie. It's like the writer just saw Spotlight and then like, I'm gonna put, and then Margot Robbie talks about how he got raped by as a boy with the priest. Like, ha 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 ha. Isn't that funny? Isn't that fucking funny? So, I'm just trying to remember what the fuck happened in this movie. There's a scene where there's a train that Tarzan tries to get on, because they don't straight up like go after the boat, because that'd be dumb, because they're outnumbered and outgunned. So he gets on a train. He's like, I got this vine right here. I'm about to do the Tarzan move, the Tarzan swing. George grabs a vine. Oh, silly George. You like Tarzan pulls the vine and sees that wasn't able to support your weight. Like he goes, whatever. They're like these rubber ropes that look so stupid. They're just painted green. And then it cuts to them swinging, and then like this thing is like, you know how in old Spider-Man games, like you would just be swinging on nothing, like there'd be like you'd just be on the air, and you're swinging like 500 feet. It's like that. It's like they are so past the tree. They are so far away from the tree that they swung from that there's no way. It looks so stupid. So they land on the train, and this train is has a bunch of soldiers on it, and I think there's also a bunch of African people on there who are Congolese people. I'll say Congolese, so stop saying African because Africa is a continent. Uh, the Congolese people, and Tarzan says, "Slavery, no, slavery are bad." Which slavery is bad, but how the movie just handles it is just so lame. It's like it's the same as going like drugs are bad, you know. This is like such a Saturday morning cartoon fashion. That's what I'm trying to get at. And Tarzan goes into the car that has all the soldiers in it, and he beats them all up because they realize, oh shit, Tarzan hasn't done anything yet. We need him to beat up all the troops here. So Tarzan beats up all the troops in a very quick and by the book fight scene. Tarzan's so strong, you guys. And then he gets to the conductor, and then the conductor says, "Hey man, I was just following orders. I was just following orders." And Tarzan's like, "I don't care." And I don't know if they throw him off the train or anything. I forget. And then when they stop, Samuel L. Jackson goes, because they stop at a certain point where they just all they need to do is just go forward. So I guess they're I don't know. You think they would have done an Indiana Jones style map to show like where they are, but like you're just hoping that you're just hoping that they get to where they need to go to first. So uh fuck. Tarzan's like, no, George gets these documents. It's like, this is evidence of all the bad things that they are doing, Tarzan. And Tarzan's like, me am Tarzan. Me no, by the way. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Tarzan, who was taught English by an American woman with an American accent, has a British accent for no goddamn reason. He just has it. It's like the only people he learned English from were from English-speaking Congolese people and English-speaking American people, not English-speaking British people. So I guess he picks it up because he's like, my dad was British, and so was my mother. All right then, cheerio, mates. I'm British now because me parents were, yeah. It was such a dumb thing. It's like they could have just told him, "Hey, Alexander Squizgar, don't." I think this is the point where Margot Robbie tells the guy in the cage, "Hey, you're gonna escape, okay? You're gonna get out of here, and you're gonna get all the strongest soldiers, okay? Can you do that?" And like the guy goes, "Yeah, I can. Yeah, sure, why not?" And so they release the cage, and then there's hippos, because I think early in the movie they said that hippos are the most dangerous creatures, which hippos are. I've seen videos of hippos just fucking super fast in the water and super fast out of the water, and you just see these like 1,000-pound things just coming at you with gigantic jaws that will just break your shit. So they were right to make hippos these very dangerous creatures. And then he goes and he escapes. You see the CGI hippos coming after him, which every animal in this fucking movie is CGI, which pisses me off. It shouldn't, but it pisses me off. It's like another thing. It's like when you're at a restaurant and the food's shit and the service is shit, and you look at the lights and like, oh, the lights in here are shitty. Uh, and this is at the point where they leave the boat and they're making their way to where the Ashy tribe is. That's what I'm gonna call them now. They're the Ashy dudes. They're the Ashy tribes. Uh, oh yeah. Oh fuck this scene. I'm sorry. I'm reading a synopsis because I'm trying my best to remember this movie, which is very memorable, but also at the same time not. I don't know. That's a contradiction. They meet with Tarzan's gorilla brother, who is big, who has got these orange scars on him because that's the only way you can discern him from. That's the only way you can be able to distinguish him uh, from other gorillas because they all look the fucking same. Even, yeah, well, the leader has a dead eye, has like an eye that's white and shit. Uh, Tarzan is like, I'm gonna fight this guy, and I'm just sitting there like, no, you're not. It's not gonna be a fight. He's gonna punch you, and you're gonna fall over and fucking die as your innards are all exploded. But Tarzan straight up actually fights this guy, and I guess I'll give him credit because it lasts for like a minute after a while because the gorilla just overpowers him and just starts pummeling him to shit. Which, no. Like Tarzan's still alive and he's still breathing. It's like, motherfucker, you should have at least a punctured lung, but he doesn't because Tarzan is just so strong, you guys. This he's so strong. He's so beautiful. He's so handsome. He's so cool. Everyone likes him. He's everyone's best friend. Everyone loves Tarzan. And so, like, he tells George, who's pointing a gun at his gorilla brother, and he says, "Don't shoot him, George." It's like, why shouldn't I? Why should I not shoot this gorilla? Because if you shoot him, they're all gonna fucking gang up on you and kill the shit out of you too. And then Samuel Jackson like, whatever. What do you want me to do? Get on the ground and show your back, or lay on the ground and like hunch over so like you're exposing your weakness, which I guess is the back. Which I don't know. I don't know gorillas. I don't talk to them. And uh, this is just like like the tone is set, the mood is set, and here comes a fucking train out of nowhere, just blam, running over the tone, just fucking ruining the scene. And Samuel Jackson utters these words: "You want me to lick his nuts when I'm down here?" And then Tarzan goes, "Well, I guess that would help. Like, why are you guys putting comedy into the scene? It's inappropriate, you idiots." You fucking idiot screenwriter who's like, and then Samuel Jackson says the funny, hilarious quip, "Should I lick his nuts?" And the audience laughs. Ha ha ha. That's in the script, by the way. Uh, just why? Why did you do that? Why did you put that in your movie? You ruined it. You ruined it. Well, this movie was ruined already because they had too many. There's already too many dumb scenes in this movie. So they, you hear the oh, like, you know, the old Tarzan yell, but they try to make it cool, which is not. I would have rather have them play the old classic old movie, like from the old ass movies. That whole sound clip. I'd rather them play that. I would have accepted that, even though it sounds bad quality, and it'd be like playing the Wilhelm scream, which I think the Wilhelm scream was in this movie. So there's another thing. There's another knock against this movie. Uh, and then you get to wonder, hey, why does the Ashy tribe leader, why does he want Tarzan so bad? And then they show a flashback to when the Ashy chief's Ashy son uh, kills a gorilla, kills a peaceful female gorilla who's just minding her own fucking business. And it turns out that that's Tarzan's mom, and so Tarzan's like, blood for blood, motherfucker, and then he kills he kills the son, and now the Ashy Chief is like, Tarzan. By the way, this scene is so dumb. People say, "Oh, my friend said that this scene was sad," but it's like, nah. He's holding a his CGI mom, his CGI gorilla in his hands. He's like, "Oh, my mom is dead." I'm like, I'm trying so hard not to laugh throughout this entire scene because I'm trying to let people, embrace the sadness, but I'm not. I'm laughing my ass off, but I'm not like not loudly. So Tarzan goes to the I think this is the point where they taken Jane to them, and then like all these gorillas show up, and I think they shoot gorillas in this scene, and like gorillas are just being shot, and I lean to my friend and say, "This is in poor taste. Harambe just died, and you are showing scenes. You're depicting scenes of gorilla murder. Disgusting. Poor taste." which was funny too. Uh, so they take him to the Ashy Chief, and the Ashy Chief says, "I'm gonna kill you, Tarzan. Why'd you kill my son?" And then Tarzan says, "Cause he killed my gorilla mama." And you're like, "Oh shit! I'm glad that we talked this out. I'm going to help you now." Like, really? All that was just settled over a talk, which I guess helps. Whatever. Who cares? Let's just get this fucking movie done, is what everyone said at that point. And and then Tarzan and his new friends, and I guess his gorilla brother that beat the shit out of him, is now cool with him. It's just he's just there. No one cares. I guess all the gorilla murders, like was like, I'm gonna help you, Tarzan, defeat these evil Belgian people. And so they go and they find wildebeests, and they scare the wildebeests, and the wildebeests are all running towards the town that they're in, and the wildebeests are just running. They're just ruining everything. They're just crashing through walls. These wildebeests are made of steel and anger, and they are so strong that they're able to break down houses. Which my friend pointed out, like, well, the houses in that time was shittily made. Like everything was really shitty, which I guess, but it just looks dumb. And the wildebeests are all just causing mayhem, and Jane finally does something in this movie. Non Non, same Non Non from earlier. I'm gonna put his Twitter in the description, but Non Non said Jane does nothing throughout this whole movie except being captured, and all she does is emasculate the villain, which ruins the movie's villain by making him this non-threatening factor. He's just a minor inconvenience, more so, and he's super right. It's like they wanted you to think that this was like the strong female character, but no. All she does is be captured, and all she does is be a snarky bitch. I'm sorry, but she even says the line of, "Oh, this was the most." It felt super written and so unnatural. Like she says, "What am I? A damsel in distress?" And then Christoph Waltz says, "You Jane, him Tarzan. He's gonna show up for you. Ha 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 ha. Muhaha. Muhaha. I'm the movie's villain." And I'm just, it's like, ah, like I'm rubbing my temples at this stupid fucking movie. So here's the climax. Rom gets on the boat because they're trying to because he's got the diamonds. He's trying to take it to his superiors who's on a boat. Why didn't they just bring the boat closer? I don't fucking know. They're scared of the wildebeests that are on land. They're safe in their fucking boat. So they're struggling. They're struggling to get to them. No, wait, no. They take a little dinghy. They take a little dinghy to get to them, but they end up like not because the boat gets destroyed. Because Samuel Jackson, he's got to do something in this movie too, other than save Tarzan earlier. He's got to do something in the scene. Sam needs to do something in the scene, so he goes up to a gun and he's like, "This gun is a very unique model. I love using this gun." And then you see Samuel Jackson awkwardly shoot at a boat for a good 30 seconds. You just see him lining up this boat, and it's just silence. It just cuts to people reacting to him shooting, and they're all like, oh, he's shooting the boat. And then Tarzan swims to the boat. He fights Rom, which, why doesn't he just overpower him? But again, Rom is using his rosary like a fucking weapon. Rom chokes out Tarzan, but then Tarzan's like, I've been doing neck exercises, motherfucker, and flexes his neck muscles, and he breaks it. He looks like Randy Macho Man Savage's neck. And then this whole movie is so fucking stupid. And then, like, oh no, while he's being choked, before he breaks the necklace, he's like making like all these guttural sounds, and like he's like, Rom's like, oh, what was that? Your last words? And then Tarzan's like, no, crocodile mating call. And then all the crocodiles show up, and then Tarzan throws Roms to the crocodile. He gets fucking eaten by crocodiles. And before I did Wikipedia research on Leon Rom, I thought, this is a real guy. I don't know if this is cool. Then it turns out that this guy was actually a piece of shit IRL. Like, he killed indigenous people and fucking displayed their dead bodies. So this guy was just a piece of shit. He was an actual fucking asshole. So whatever, who cares? This is like the same thing as, like, you know, Hitler being shot up in Inglourious Bastards. Like, he deserves it. And yeah, Rom dies, but the boat explodes, you guys. Oh my god. I forgot to mention this, but like when Tarzan gets on, the reason why the boat explodes is not because George shoots up the thing. It's because Tarzan just bends steel with his bare hands. He bends this thing, and it causes the boat to explode. So I guess he like bent a pipe that was supposed to be an exhaust pipe or whatever, and causes all the pressure to build up, and the thing explodes. You know? Ugh. And, you know, Jane's like, oh no, Tarzan, he was on the boat when it exploded. No, no, my precious Tarzan. And Tarzan's like, hey, I'm back. Hey, guys, I'm here. And she goes, oh, okay. And then they make out, and the movie ends. Oh, it's so happy. Belgium is taking huge L's, which I guess they deserve it. They weren't that great back then. You know? We'll just villainize an entire country that is okay now, but I guess whatever. George goes back to America. Tarzan and Jane stay in the Congo instead of going back to their big ass house with plumbing. I need to stress this. I don't care how spiritually connected you are with this place. One has plumbing and one has a hole in the ground. So yeah, they stay there. Jane, who was said to be barren, is not barren. She actually has a baby boy. And everyone's happy. The tribe is all celebrating. One of the kids looks directly into the camera while they're celebrating, because fuck. And yeah, this movie ends. This movie was bad. This movie was awful. This movie was terrible. And it's a movie that's haunting me because of the choices that was made. So all I gotta say is don't see this movie. If you're one of the Tarzan heads that are out there, avoid this movie, even though it's been out since July, the beginning of July. But Rotten Tomatoes says this movie is a piece of shit. IMDb says this movie is a piece of shit. So this movie is a piece of shit. All right, that was the first episode of Megos at the Movies. I'm gonna try to make this a very frequent thing. Try to do this once a week, talking about movies that not necessarily in the theaters anymore, but movies that are, that I like, movies that had an effect on me, movies that I want to talk about. Movies that I don't necessarily like or necessarily dislike. I just want to talk about movies. And I love movies. I'm very passionate about it. And I guess that's why I chose Tarzan, because this is like feels like a satire of Hollywood films, and you just see like by the book filmmaking, and you're just like, come on, why even put some fucking effort into your craft? Don't just make this movie that the only reason you're making it is so that you can sell tickets because the passion is in making money rather than making good film. And it's like, good movies make more money in the long run, right? You know? Oh well. So yeah. So follow me on Tumblr, Megos95 on Tumblr. That's Megos 95, number 95 on Tumblr. Same thing on Twitter. And I'll be seeing you at the movies.